Hello and welcome. Northstar here with another Cell to Singularity Let's Play. I apologize if I'm a little out of it, more than sometimes. It's been issues. I tried to serve my country at the time, not yet realizing what a evil empire the United States is, and having been raised very conservatively compared to my now leftist political beliefs. Very much capitalism is the best system there ever was nonsense, which I've learned is bullshit. Um, and I studied hard. I worked. I did grad school, of course, to try and become a more productive member of society. So, I wasn't there just for the studying, but to try and eventually become a medical researcher or a physician. You can, by the way, it's worth noting, get an MD and still do medical research. At the very beginning, I had considered like an MD PhD path, and then later decided I'd just try and do an MD. Um, so trying to be a contributing member to society. And by the way, if I had done MD PhD path, the amount of time I would have spent grad school would have been massive, like 7, 8 years after undergrad, and I definitely would have gotten screwed out of Social Security disability then. Because if you're in grad school, it's very demanding. A lot of programs don't want you to work at all, and if you do work, usually it's going to be on campus for the university because it's closer. And no one's telling you, hey, the university doesn't actually have to pay into your payroll tax, and you could get screwed out of, like, say, disability because this. No one's thinking I'm going to become disabled. So that exceptions should not exist and only exist because of greedy, evil politicians. Specifically, Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich worked together, so Democrat and Republican, bipartisan fuckery, to add this exception when they were balancing the budget like 94, 96. Bill Clinton giving this away, among many other things, including capping the number of physicians trained in the United States, in exchange for Gingrich allowing taxes to be raised. And then the taxes were just cut again under Bush Jr., getting rid of the surplus, the budget surplus that Clinton had created. Clinton, of course, was a third-way Democrat and basically neoliberal, so basically a Republican already. Not that the Democrats are ever any good. They generally suck. Just the Republicans suck worse, and that's the problem with the two-party system, is that you have two terrible choices. So because of this law that was passed when I was a young child, I got screwed out of being able to get disability when I became disabled by the coronavirus, which was actually, I had studied virology in my master's after I started off with stem cell stuff, and the lab was ran out of money and shut down. So I ended up studying viruses because I needed to find another lab in a hurry, and that was what was available. And I can say very definitively between that and a class in studying like potential pandemics that everyone class knew coronavirus was a pandemic risk even before. I mean, it was the same family of viruses that had caused SARS. In fact, the technical name of COVID was SARS-CoV-2. SARS because it's part of the SARS virus family. And that was, there was the pandemic, the SARS pandemic, and then there was the MERS pandemic, M-E-R-S. So COVID is the third pandemic caused by this family of viruses. We knew that this could be bad, and we knew if a more highly contagious virus like COVID arose from that family, it would be really bad. So was no excuse. And then the government didn't take it seriously, and they just put business profits first and returned to normalcy. And both Biden and Trump fucked us. And because they didn't take it serious enough, that got into people's individual behavior. And I had a roommate who didn't take it serious enough. Came back from a business trip across multiple state lines instead of quarantine in place like he was supposed to. Because again, didn't take it serious enough. Plus, he was an entrepreneur and he thought he was God and invincible and everything he did was perfect and golden shit. And this guy infected me with coronavirus for the second time, which I told him you can get more once, but he didn't believe that because he was so arrogant full of himself. Even though I'd studied viruses and he knew I was smart, he didn't think it was possible for any virus to infect you more than once. I'm like, no, that's absolutely a thing. And so, I got COVID a second time, like 10, 11 months after the first infection, which isn't long enough for the immunity to wane. And the second infection gave me long COVID. I've been disabled since. Wasn't able to finish my master's. I had returned for a couple more master's degrees. Special master's is one of them. So I was going to become a physician because I had kept a straight A average in this program, and pretty much anyone who ever got grades that good got into an MD program after. Been a long path. I had to work for a while as an EMT, some garbage jobs after my first master's because I got stuck in a rural area for a while. There's a whole story. I had to do a ton of volunteering in hospitals, a ton of unpaid research work while I was an undergrad and grad student, which of course didn't count towards my payroll Social Security disability contribution, but man, I was contributing to society, not getting paid for it for all this volunteer and unpaid research work. And then I did work that was paid, that was definitely a job, and got screwed because of this exemption from that job having to pay in the payroll tax. And grad school, period, should probably be worth something for Social Security disability credits, like maybe one work credit per year you're in grad school, or at least to make it so it's less likely to screw people, because it is an investment in becoming, a more productive member of society. And if somebody just working at McDonald's can get 4 work credits, and we should not shit on people working those jobs as important jobs. So if someone working just a minimum wage job can get 4 work credits in a year, then someone going to graduate school and working for the university should be able to get at least 1 work credit in a year. But I got screwed. And now the government's fucking me out of Social Security disability and saying I have too much in assets for SSI. And they're on top of that still processing the medical disability paperwork, probably so they can come up an excuse to claim to fight even labeling me as disabled, even though I very clearly am. And they're not even returning calls and stuff with the people they contract that out to. As if that was, everything else wasn't bad enough. But even if they correctly agree with the specialists have all agreed I have long COVID, they're not giving me any programs anyways because of this SSDI nonsense and asset limit nonsense, which eventually my assets will go low enough for SSI. So that's probably why they're trying to fuck me there. So that when they go that low, they won't have to pay. This is neoliberalism. This is evil. This is vile. And this murders people. And this is where capitalism will always end up. The only reason it didn't end up here before, sooner, in more of the world, is because of the Cold War. It's because the Soviet Union existed and posed a serious ideological threat to capitalism. And so the capitalist class, the high bourgeois, if you watch my Northstar Talk Politics videos, I've talked about this. They made concessions. They made concessions to the working class to keep them loyal to capitalism, or at least not disloyal, so that they could crush the Soviet Union, because they already had the majority of the world's population and resources and economy on their side, so there was no way they could lose as long as their own population didn't become disloyal and turn to socialism as well. The populace, that is, of the capitalist countries, so they just made just enough concessions to keep working class loyal, and then started rolling back the moment the Soviet Union collapsed. That's the world we live in today. And now we're in real danger of it never ever being possible to displace capitalism, of climate change killing us all, or nuclear war, because capitalism leads to imperialism, leads to conflict. God knows how many genocides will probably occur over the next few centuries. And of just a terrible world, because capitalism is uncontested and will remain uncontested, and in fact is grinding itself in and reinforcing its power with things like fascism, which fascism is still capitalism. Fascism is just capitalism without the democracy component. Nazis famously privatized a ton of government services. The term privatization was actually coined based on the Nazi and Italian fascist privatization programs. So while they nationalized some industries, they privatized a ton more, and the general trend was towards privatization. They were capitalist to their core, and talked about socialism as the greatest threat to the world, and yeah, there's no question they were capitalists. So, yeah, things suck, kind of. I'm just struggling to survive. I'd like to get out of the United States before it potentially goes